This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Yanya Killick. Right now I'm sitting down with James O'Keefe, founder and president of Project Veritas. James, wonderful to have you here.
Great to be here.
A lot of energy, CPAC is happening. So not just CPAC is where the energy is at right now, it would seem. You actually published an expose, I believe it was yesterday morning, and I'm wondering if you could just give us a bit of an overview of what you published, why it's important, maybe the broader implications, but let's just start with, what did you publish?
We released a video interviewing someone who blew the whistle inside of Facebook. This is an employee who leaked documents to us which cost her her job at Facebook in content review, intellectual property division of Facebook, and she saw code on the back end of these different pages showing them doing something called a deboost, which is downranking a live stream video without the user knowing. And this is sort of blowing up as I speak. Yesterday were the Cohen hearings, but today people are starting to take notice. Facebook has responded and sort of attacked us and attacked her, which is what they typically do with people who blow the whistle. She also leaked documents to us showing something called a troll report, where these Facebook engineers, specifically this one guy named Seiji Yamamoto, was ascribing a troll score to accounts, again, without them knowing, if they use certain words, such as words that are fairly innocuous, words like MSM, mainstream media, normie, sort of these meme words, because they are trying to combat meme culture. So this is an unusual story for us. Usually we do hidden camera work. This is actually an interview with a whistleblower and the documents that she gave us. And I think it's resonating with a lot of people, because a lot of people, even here at CPAC, have told me that they're worried that they are being deboosted, and they suspect that that is happening to them.
So is it only specific types of memes that are being targeted in this? I'm talking about the second point here.
The second part of the story, which is this troll report, targets words that, you know, it's not hate speech. There's nothing racist about this speech. These are sort of the right has appropriated this meme culture, and it was one of the things that contributed to Donald Trump being elected. So one of the things they write in this troll report is that they want to have an influence on elections. They want to use these words like, these are not racial words. These are kind of ridiculous, like normie, lulz is one of them, L-U-L-Z. Overton window is a word that's used in this troll report, which is, again, this is a word there's nothing wrong with this word, but it's a word that's typically used by conservatives. So the engineers at Facebook are using machine learning, or also known as artificial intelligence, that take videos, convert them into text, and the computer goes through the text to find these key words, which are, again, innocuous words, and if you use these words, they will take actions against your account. Of course, Facebook has never admitted this publicly, which is why Project Veritas exists.
And this is something like the learn to code that Twitter was. That kind of became a conservative meme, right? Or something in that vein.
Right. The learn to code was something that people were saying about journal, and their accounts are being banned. This code that we found, we actually have the document showing the actual line of code that was written by the engineer. So it's irrefutable, incontrovertible evidence that they're in fact doing this. Facebook has come out and said that the code is real. They've corroborated what we've exposed, but they've attacked the whistleblower.
Okay, let's then jump to the broader implications. So it's not just Facebook, right? That's what you believe, at least, or? Well,
we've done stories on Twitter. I'm on camera and I'm wearing an upside down Twitter bird because last year we exposed the Twitter was shadow banning was the term that their engineers were using to prevent the users' notifications from appearing in people's timelines if they use words like God or guns or America. They actually have a machine go through and automatically take action against the account if these words are being used. One of the things that the Twitter engineer told us last year was that if you use words like God or guns, you're a Russian bot, which is an unbelievable admission. I mean, I would say that most people in this room that we're in currently use these words like God and guns and the American flag. But yes, the broader implications are as follows. That these companies control, people say they're private companies. I don't buy that argument. I think that these companies are the new town square. And if you have a conflict with the First Amendment, if you don't believe that there's supposed to be division, conflict in conversation, if you think that there should only be a certain way of talking, then we have serious problems, because these companies control the means of disseminating information.
Do you think that there's some kind of, this is what just occurred to me, there's some kind of, let's say political correctness or guiding this type of thinking about not allowing, basically a full free forum of all speech?
So one of the things that, to your point, when the insider showed me the back end of Facebook, one of the things I saw, I saw this last week because she logged in and showed me, was executives at Facebook saying that what's the future is not just punishing bad accounts who are on the quote-unquote perimeter of hate speech. What does that mean, perimeter of hate speech? We're not talking about clans, hoods, and racial slurs. We're talking about the perimeter of hate speech, whatever that means. But this executive at Facebook also said on the back end of Facebook that they're trying to reward content which is not divisive. So there's just sort of, they have a vision of how people are supposed to talk and how people are supposed to behave. They want to reward speech and content which doesn't promote division. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
I don't know what that even is, because in America, it's e pluribus unum. We're division, people disagree with each other. So there's a sort of Orwellian, or I guess you could call it Huxleyan way of looking at the world there, and I don't know how that actually works in practice, because in practice, we're a very divided country right now.
Right.
And all publishers typically speak to their, I guess you'd call it their base, speak truths that appeal to certain people. And if they're not, and this is according to I can quote the document, they said we're not trying to reward divisive speech. We're trying to reward content and publishers' content which is aligned with Facebook's mission. That is contradictory to what Mark Zuckerberg said in his testimony. In his testimony, he said, we don't make those assessments.
I see.
So this is a contradiction, and this is what they do in private. This is what they say in private. This is a big story. This is a very big story. And I think there's a lot of people who will follow the lead of this. Listen, she lost her job, this person. She was on food stamps. And then we found her. She leaked the documents to us. We didn't, we got a lot of people sending us a lot of things. Months later, we found what was in these documents, and then we subsequently hired her, this whistleblower.
Do you think there's any reasonable standard that these giant social media companies that are playing this role of a town square, as you describe it, should put in? Or do you think there's any acceptable limit on speech? Like, for example, you referenced hate speech, things that are, explicitly racist and
one of the things the
road,
whistleblower told me when she worked in content review is, she saw videos where people were getting, awful things, people being sawed in half, and pornography and awful. There has to be a system where you get rid of these things. Should there be hate speech on Facebook? I don't know the answer to that question. I think hate speech is allowed under the First Amendment. And these companies are increasingly, they're not just dominating the market, they are the market. They are the market. You can't speak to your fellow Americans unless you are on these platforms.
They have a huge responsibility.
Huge.
Yeah.
And I've talked to, I don't want to get too technical here, but I've talked to engineers about it. And as long as you have human beings making determinations about what is and what is not hate speech, you're going to have these problems. Now, let me just defend Facebook for 1 second. They do, in fact, police, and they do a very good job. I saw on the back end, they have thousands of people that they've hired, that when you get taken down, if I get taken down, if you get taken down, we'll probably be put back up. There is a kind of reasonable standard here. But this story is not about that. The story that we broke is about the deboosting that happens when you don't know you're being deboosted.
I see.
That's the very nefarious thing. I at least want them to notify people when they take action against your account. What scares me is that they're not notifying us. And what's great about the Project Veritas story is that we confronted the engineers with a microphone. We went to San Francisco earlier this week, and I asked them for comment. And we're making this very personal, which I think is very important. I think people need to see the faces and the names of the people who are doing this to you.
I mean, this is basically like another kind of shadow banning, right?
Yes.
Like that's
Yes. Except in this case, it's called deboosting. Right. And I don't like the word, these are very sort of technical, jargony words, but this is what we've suspected
this
to be
is
the case.
Facebook term? This is the
Facebook term.
I see.
With Twitter, it's called shadow banning.
Right.
And with Facebook, the engineers wrote the code Sigma, it was called in 2017. The term is called iAction Deboost Live Distribution. And you can, if you look at our video at projectveritas.com, you can actually see the line of code that the engineer Danny Ben David wrote on these pages. Stephen Crowder, Mike Cernovich, and the Daily Caller were some of the pages that this appeared on.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
One of the things that we're trying to do is to encourage other people on the inside to blow the whistle and to be brave. So, I don't think that anything's going to change in this country unless, as I said to you in my interview with you 2 weeks ago, unless people are willing to make a sacrifice. And I think that this young whistleblower is quite heroic. And she felt the public had a right to know what the company was doing, and she lost her job. And I think there's a lot of other people who see these things. And Project Veritas will pay your legal defense. We will step up to defend you. And I encourage people to reach out to us when you're on the inside of these companies. ProjectVeritas.com/brave is the website.
I think what you're trying to do is basically create a situation of more accountability, right? You're not trying to take these companies down or something like that, right?
No, we're trying to expose the truth, as journalists throughout the 20th century have done. I mean, Business Insider attacked me today and said that we pulled a stunt. I don't know. This is the least stunt-like thing that I have ever done. I've interviewed a whistleblower and she gave me documents. We're just trying to expose, but these companies are so powerful. I mean, just to give you an idea of how powerful they are, I mean, it makes Standard Oil look like the Boy Scouts. These companies, a lot of the people, a lot of the media organizations are afraid to report about them because they get their lion's share of their revenue from Facebook. They're unwilling to even talk. I mean, some of the people that have been attacking me over the last 24 hours and have their friends and their contacts inside the company, they literally are trying to do damage control. So I'm a guerrilla journalist. I'm an investigative journalist. I have to be guerrilla not only in how I get the information, but how we distribute it, because we have to circumvent these institutional ways of protecting the organization in question. Yes, we're exposing the truth, but we're going up against institutional, and this is not right-wing argument. Noam Chomsky made the same argument, that there are institutional prejudices in favor of protecting these companies. So be brave. You have to blow the whistle. You have to be on the inside to really dig deep and expose the truth.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, James, for taking some time.
Thank you.